Hello, I'm Super Orange Cat here today with another one of my waifu videos. Now, this is a series I've done for on and off for a couple years at this point, where I made a video a couple years or so ago where I asked my viewers to give me their waifus, and I would ultimately watch some clips of them, get a good feel for them. Well, for most of them, because most of them I've never heard of or I'm only partially aware of. I mean, if it's someone who's already someone I'm aware of, like if it's one of the girls from like My Hero Academia, then it's much easier to do a more thorough one. But still, I go on and I watch some clips, I look at them, I pay attention to their character arc a bit, and I give my opinion on them. Now, today, I have 7 girls lined up. This is my 5th video for the series. I've done 4 other ones. It's been a while. I think the last one I did, I released Christmas Eve last year to show how infrequent, admittedly, this series is. But digress, it's a fan favorite, you know. And without further ado, let's go into the first girl. The first girl for today's video is Makise Kirisu, which the person who gave this to me referred to it as My Guy Chris. I don't know if that's like an in joke or the name of the show, because when I put up Makise Kirisu, the only one that came up is the character from Steins. So I'm going to go based off of that character. Now, this character is very intelligent. I think it's something like a good thing for, not a good thing as much as like a nice characteristic of the people who watch my videos, that the waifus generally so far have been pretty intelligent characters. It's like at least they're not going. You guys aren't going for like random puddles of mud you see in the background of a shonen anime or something. But yeah, she's very intelligent, and she's like many intelligent people. She's quite skeptical as well, which could be a good thing, can be a bad thing. And perhaps you can argue that in this case she's a bit too much of one, and that's the only thing that really marked her down to me. And also, she's very attractive, not in the directly sexy or sex appeal way, but she's more professionally attractive, if that makes sense to you. And I like her, you know? She's got a nice vibe to her, and I gave her an 8 out of 10. Now, the next character is one you're probably more familiar with. It's Lucy Harflia, the character from Fairy Tail. Now, first thing when I started watching clips of her that struck out to me is that she reminded me a lot of Noelle Silva from Black Clover, who I already said I liked, and I actually reviewed in one of my earlier videos. It might have been the most recent one. I think I gave her like a pretty high grade because I remember really, really liking her character. And if you followed me a lot, I've posted a lot of pictures of Noelle Silva for my thumbnails. I gave her an 8.5 out of 10 last video I made a year ago or so. So that shows good things, you know. Mostly that she hits the perfect triangle of being attractive, intelligent, and also pretty stuck up. Though much like Noelle Silva, the further along you go, she lets her defenses down a bit, and you get to more like her, and she's a little more willing to let others in. But at the same time, I don't quite feel the vibes as well for Lucy as I did for Noelle, so I gave her a 7 out of 10. Now here comes the next 5 girls, which are a gauntlet. When I say the first one, you're gonna know the next 4 also are. So without further ado, Madoka Kaname. Yes, I am doing Magica Madoka. Okay, she's very cute, but she's also, relative to the other girls, quite shy and timid. And she's actually quite personable, regardless of those traits, when she's not in the magical girl form. But also, she's much more confident as a magical girl. At the same time, though, I remember I kind of do mark her off a bit because, and this might be something that causes a bit of an upward, she comes off a bit dime a dozen. She reminds me a bit of Usagi from Sailor Moon, and it's really hard to separate personality-wise. Also, the fact that she's the de facto leader of a magical girl troop like in Sailor Moon, you know. So the next girl is Sayaka Miki, who's probably the next most famous girl from this show. I know I'm going to probably cause a bit of a controversy with that. And I like her because she's very tomboyish. If you know what I personally like, being a tomboy is a big plus. And also, she's also cute as well. And one thing that really stuck out to me, which made her, I'm going to go ahead and kind of spoil here. She's my favorite of the five. She's very deeply caring about her friends, very passionately, and she's very passionate, but at the same time, foolhardy. So willing to make her heart or deeper passions get the best of her. And if you know what happens to her character, you will understand that. It's so hard because I don't want to give big anime spoilers in the middle of my video. But again, it involves a boy, and let's just keep it at that. I gave her a 9 out of 10. Oh, by the way, I gave Madoka a 6.5 out of 10. Now, next one, Mami Tomoe. I probably horribly pronounced that, and I'm sorry. She's probably the most cheerful of the five, you know. And there was not much that much about her relative to the other girls, but she comes off a bit petty as a person. And I could go into it's one of those things like if I tell you deep into these characterizations, these characters, I probably almost have to spoil major plot points. So I'm kind of walking on thin ice here. And also, I mean, you could say they're cute for all five of these, you know. That's like, oh, you just said that again, but and I gave her 7 out of 10 because again, being a little bit petty is kind of a downer for me. Next one I'm reviewing is Kyoko Sakura. She's the fierce one of the five. Like every group has to have the fierce and aggressive one, like the very sporty one. That's Kyoko. And much like Sayaka Miki, she's also very tomboyish, perhaps more so than Sayaka Miki. And she's the type, kind of the old stereotype of, oh, she puts on a very strong exterior, but she's just really hurting in the inside. And again, if you understand what she inadvertently does at one point, you'll understand why her heart's really just full of sorrow. And I gave her an 8.5 out of 10 because I'm a sucker for a good backstory. And the next one is Homura Kemi, the last one. She has, color wise, I'd say the softest palette of them. And this is the one. I've seen images of her in memes for the longest time before I ever watched Magica Madoka. And I was like, who the hell is this girl? And I saw her and I'm like, okay, this is the one that everyone's been posting the pictures of forever. Uh, and she's the one, she's the natural like if you understand the stereotypes of like the groups of friends, she's the one that's naturally the beautiful one, and she's the one that's intelligent and athletic at the same time, and she's very quiet. And the reason why is not necessarily being shy or timid like Madoka is. It's because of some very messed up stuff she saw as a magical girl. This whole anime generally goes into like Sailor Moon. A lot of it, like the whole magical girl transformation, is more like kind of like Batman going through the Batcave of put on the costume. Now you have these abilities. Go and save the day. Magica Madoka is a bit different, in which there's a very solid price to pay for your abilities, for your powers. And although it might look glamorous on the outside, it's something maybe you don't really want to do. And Homura Kemi, I gave her an 8 out of 10. I like her character, but she's not particularly special to me or someone I think really stands out in the way someone like Sayaka Miki does, who's my favorite of the five. And I'm going to wrap it up. It's a bit of a shorter video. I'm only covering 7 girls this time. But again, going through the gauntlet of those 5 girls, I feel like warrants me to kind of put a close to this video. Next video, I'm looking ahead at some of these names. Some of these are pretty interesting names. A couple of these in particular are really, really well-known names, especially if you guys watch Tanami. So you guys will get to see my opinion on some Tanami waifus. So stick around for whenever that video comes out. But again, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I'm Super Orange Cat, and that is all.